Hello guys, welcome to another virtual biology lesson. And today we're going to continue the topic of our sensory organs that allow us to perceive stimuli from the surroundings, process them, and then let our brains interpret them into certain kinds of stimuli. The last week we were talking about eyes, which absorb light, then they allow the brain to process images, and today we're going to talk about the further sense, which is the hearing. And hearing allows you to perceive a certain kind of stimulus from the surroundings, which are the acoustic waves, which are the sound waves. Whenever something is moving, it makes the air vibrate a little bit. This vibration we know as the sound. The organ of hearing are the ears, but they also serve another function, which is really important, and somehow we just dismiss it for unknown reasons. I'm talking about the balance, because ears are also the organ of balance, sense, zmysł równowagi. When we say ear, we usually mean the part of the body that is sticking from both sides of our skulls. But the truth is much more complicated. And today we're going to talk about how an ear is constructed. And guys, ear as such consists of three parts: external ear, ucho zewnętrzne, and middle ear, ucho środkowe, and internal ear, ucho wewnętrzne. Those three parts aren't simple either, because they are made of a few more components. And guys, you have a nice diagram on page 200 in your textbook, but it is in Polish. In case you need, you can always open it and take a look, but I also have a simple diagram in here. So guys, let's begin with the external ear, which I will be marking in blue. External ear consists of two parts: auricle, another name for this is pina, po polsku małżowina uszna. And it also consists of acoustic meatus, po polsku przewód słuchowy. And guys, here you have them. Pinna is that element that is sticking outside of our skull. It's basically cartilage covered in skin, which means this is elastic, but it's also kind of stiff, so it can hold its shape. It's weirdly shaped on the outside, but each of these folds make the sound waves focused into the opening of the canal, which is the acoustic meatus, which is here. So basically, the main task of pinna is to captivate the sound waves and focus them directly into the opening of the auditory canal, as is marked here, or acoustic meatus, which is a more biological term. So let's go further. In green, I will mark the middle ear. And guys, the middle ear starts at this point, which is the tympanic membrane. Czyli błona bębenkowa. Guys, this is the line between middle and external ear. To the outside of the skull, we will have the external ear. To the inside, we will have the middle ear. The parts that also are included into middle ear are auditory ossicles. Auditory ossicles, czyli kosteczki słuchowe. And there are three of them. Malleus, incus, and stapes. Po polsku to młoteczek, kowadełko oraz strzemiączka. And in this diagram, they are here. Młoteczek, kowadełko oraz strzemiączka, czyli malleus, incus, and stapes. And guys, those three act as a simple machine. Whenever a sound wave hits the tympanic membrane, which is here, the sound wave hits the membrane, then the membrane starts to vibrate. This vibration is being transferred through malleus, incus, and stapes in the exact order because it starts from malleus, then it goes to incus, and then it goes to stapes to pass the stimuli further to the cochlea, which is another part of the ear. Those are the smallest bones in the human body. They are not made of cartilage, they are made of bones. And basically, they are tiny little machine that what they have to do is to basically make the sound enhanced. So they are making the sound wave a little bit stronger so we can clearly perceive the stimuli from the outside world. And another part of this is auditory tube. Czyli przewód słuchowy. And guys, here the auditory tube is marked as Eustachian tube because indeed in the past it used to be called like this, trąbka Eustachiusza, but now the terms have changed a little bit, so let's stick to auditory tube. And here you have a diagram presenting the auditory tube. What it does, it connects the ear to the throat. Why is there a need for something like this to be in our ears? Because of the air pressure. This connection is absolutely necessary to make the air pressure even on both sides of the tympanic membrane. Otherwise, the tympanic membrane would not be able to move to vibrate and thus pass the stimuli. Further, when you are moving upwards in an elevator, for instance, if it's moving quickly, you might feel that your ears, sorry, start to be clogged a little bit. Then what you usually do is to open your eyes or just swallow saliva. What it does, it basically makes the air pressure even on both sides of this membrane. And guys, the next part that I will mark in orange is the internal ear. An internal ear is the most complicated part of the hearing organ. It's made of spaces inside the skull bones called the bony labyrinth. I'm just leaving it on the side. Bony labyrinth, czyli po polsku błędnik kostny. This part is the place where the physical wave of the air is translated into nervous impulses, then directly led to the brain. And in internal ear, we have those parts. We have cochlea, po polsku ślimak, and we have semicircular ducts, czyli kanały półkoliste. And guys, let's focus on cochlea. At first, you have it marked here. It looks a little bit like a slug, that's the Polish name. The English name originates from the shell, from the shell. Anyway, cochlea contains sensory cells equipped with cilia, tiny hairs, rzęski, that move accordingly to the intensity of sound waves. These movements are then translated into electric signal that goes through the nerve directly to the brain. So, when the sound wave hits the tympanic membrane, it's being transmitted by malleus, then incus, then stapes, and then stapes is basically knocking on the cochlea's part. Inside cochlea, we have a fluid that acts as a transmitter of the physical wave. And then on the other side of the cochlea, we have those tiny sensory nerves that sensory cells, sorry, that are covered with cilia, and those cilia move, and that motion is then translated into an electric signal that through the nerve goes further to the brain. So this is the place where the physical wave is being changed into an electric impulse. And we have also the semicircular ducts, which are here. We have 1, 2, and 3 of them, and they are all located into in 3 dimensions. And guys, those are the organs that act just like a gyroscope that you have in your phone. Gyroscope enables the phone to sense the position of the phone, and the same case is in the case of semicircular ducts. So they sense the position and the balance of the body in space. They are filled with liquids, and depending on the position of the body and the liquid inside, the brain is able to determine the position of the body. So when you have a travel sickness, that means that something is wrong with the semicircular ducts because the brain starts to get crazy over interpreting the signals that are coming through here. So, guys, external ear and middle ear totally, and also cochlea from the internal ear are responsible for perceiving and then translating the sound wave into an a nervous impulse, and semicircular ducts are the organ of balance. So, guys, to sum it up, let's go through this once again. What happens when a sound wave hits your ear? First, it is captivated by pinna or auricle, małżowina uszna. Then it enters the acoustic meatus. Then it hits the tympanic membrane. Then the tympanic membrane moves, and then it moves malleus. Then it moves incus. Then it moves stapes. Then the stapes is knocking on the cochlea, on the outside of the cochlea. So the fluid in cochlea is moving. Then what happens next? The sensory cells of cochlea are moving. And they translate the signal into electric impulse, nervous impulse. And guys, it of course requires all three parts of the ear. So the first two steps are the external ear. Then we move to the inner ear, to the middle ear, sorry. Those elements. And then we move to the last part, which is the internal ear. Guys, just like in the case of vision, hearing is also the subject of the brain tricking us. Sound travels much slower than light, so when the source of sound is only at one of your sides, like you have a loudspeaker next to you, there will be a delay in perceiving the same sound by both of your ears. So if it's standing on the left of you, if the loudspeaker is standing on the left of you, the left ear will hear it quicker than the right ear. This means that in certain cases, like this, you have the source of sound only on one of your sides, you will be hearing the same thing twice. The time difference between them, between the stimuli entering your ears, is so small that the brain will basically melt those two sounds into one. So it's tricking you in hearing the thing only once, whereas physically your ears, your two separate ears, have heard the same sound in different times. It's happening all the time. By it's, I mean the brain tricking us. And it's happening at a fraction of a second, 24 hours per day, 7 days a week. Even if you're sleeping, you're less sensitive to the sounds, but eventually the clock in the morning is able to wake you up, because in the past hearing was very important uh, in terms of warning us against a danger, against somebody sneaking, some animal sneak into us. So even if we are sleeping, then still the brain is processing the sounds from the outside world. So guys, for this and for today, this is it. We will see each other on Friday. So I hope you're safe and at home, and thanks for your attention.